There we have them, Christopher and Anthony. Everybody prepared for the new deck, Kashtira in the room, but in the end we still had two Tearlaments decks making it all the way to the finals. So it will be between this deck now and two pilots that definitely know how to pilot that exact strategy.
Anthony looking at his first 5 cards in hand, and he is normal summoning a Merly, which is not the best starting scenario. He has Kalbeck and Kaldo.
I mean, you do have a way to now deal with potential Tearlaments effects that could activate in the graveyard, but you're forced to activate Kalbeck in the mirror match, which is pretty risky because you also just give your opponent the chance to hit Shufflers himself, and we did so. Actually, we have a Kaldo there in the graveyard for Christopher now as well.
So you can activate the Havness, you can also... I mean, you have to do it at this point, because then you are forcing your opponent to activate the Agido. If you don't activate it now, because some people might think, okay, why would you activate the Havness here? It's just going to be met with the Kaldo. But if you don't activate it here, obviously you have no other place than this Merly Mill. So
yeah, but the thing is, do you even, like, is there going to be something coming from Anthony from there on? Because Christopher might be like, hey, why would I use Agido here? Because my opponent does not have any more effects to use, so let's just shuffle away the Havness, and then he sits there with a Merly and nothing else on board. So that might as well be the end of Anthony's turn. So I think it's actually quite interesting whether Christopher is going to trigger the Agido here or not, and it rather looks like he's not going to be honest.
Exactly, and Anthony is activating the Tearlaments Kashtira as well, banishing the Havness and trying to get another mill, and if he does not hit it, he can still go for the Sprite Sprint play.
That is true indeed. So, let's see. We are milling, of course, our own deck. We did hit Havness, but Havness is not the hit we needed, because that was the effect we already activated. But of course, we can search out a Shiren now. And if we have another monster in our hand, we can then use the Shiren. And as well, yeah, we are going for the Shiren. So that could still bring us to something more here.
I mean, we can always go for the Sprint and send a Merly from the deck so we can access the Kid Colors, which is so important.
Yeah. Something pretty interesting in this specific matchup is how well have they prepared for the mirror match? How many Bystials are they main decking? In Dortmund, we saw a lot of people actually being on 9 Bystials, but at that time, maximum amount you could play. Ooh, yeah, we are discarding the Merly, and that's our third Havness that we milled there. That's not going to help.
But Merly can be activated here. And there is a Bystial Magnamut. Christopher LeBlanc only runs 5 Bystials in his main deck, and he draws the best one already.
That is true, and I mean, we're probably just going to have to chain our Kaldo. We can't allow Christopher to summon out the Magnamut and get off the Surge effect in end phase as well. That is just something that is going to progress him way too much, and therefore I cannot see Anthony allowing that. You gotta just shuffle back your own monster here. I'm pretty sure.
So what else can you do? There is a chance that you are going for a Sprite Elf here to summon back the Merly in your opponent's turn, so you can actually access something with mills.
Yep, that is also true. But as I suspected, he's going to shuffle back his own Merly, not making the Magnamut hit the field, and therefore not activating the on-field effect to search for another Bystial in end phase.
Also getting rid of the Kaldo in Christopher's graveyard. He cannot chain it as he has already used Kaldo in this turn.
That's true, absolutely. So, we are shuffling back the Shuffler from Christopher and also our own Merly here.
The problem that Anthony now has is this Magnamut stays in hand. It's going to be ready next turn. So if you want to go for an Elf play and summon back the Merly, Magnamut can just always be chained to it.
Oh, and we are milling Druis and Tearlaments Kashtira, which is not what we needed, not what we wanted. We are not progressing with that. But I mean, you were talking about it a while now. We could just go into the Sprite Sprint that would enable our fusion play.
Was already triggered.
Oh no, you're right.
Discarded it with Shiren.
True. So that's not even a route we can go for anymore. So what is there to go for at that point? Like, you were thinking about going Sprite Elf, but Sprite Elf, as you said, is severely interfered with the Magnamut in the hand of Christopher, which we know about, so it doesn't even seem very appealing to me.
Anthony does not have many options left. I think we are going to see a Dark here, and I don't know if there is even a target in the opponent's graveyard. No, there isn't. We are setting up the Dark to maybe, possibly search another monster in the opponent's turn when Dark could be destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony realized that play with the Sprite Elf was just not leading to anything. He's going to get run over by the Bestial Magnamut, and therefore he was, I mean, I can at least try to resolve the Dark Graveyard effect. And Christopher is starting it off with terraforming into Perler Rhino here. But I think that terraforming top deck wasn't even that good because he already had access to Perler Rhino in his hand. So, of course, that card has a restriction to only be used once per turn.
But I mean, it is good follow-up, and your opponent does not have good follow-up as he doesn't even have a good board. Anthony's first turn was first of a bad hand, and then it got disrupted by Magnamut, and especially also the Keldor that was milled off of Kelbeck. You don't want to resolve Kelbeck or Agido in the mirror match when it's your turn, but he had to.
Yeah, he had no other plays otherwise, and therefore he absolutely had to take the little risk. And it was rough because Christopher got way better hits than he got himself.
So we are now seeing the Rhino hard search off of the Perler Rhino, which would have been a much better starter than the Merly.
Yes. So Christopher fought for quite a while before he searched out the Perler Rhino. So I think he was already figuring out the line he's going to go after adding the card with Perler Rhino. And yeah, he now went for the Rhino hard, and he's probably just going to send the Hafnis to the graveyard. That's usually the one you would start out with. Hafnis also with a beautiful reprint now in the newest OTS pack, as you can see, as a super rare. That is looking gorgeous.
It's looking stunning. So now we are going to see the last cards that Anthony has in hand. Does he have a Magnamut in hand as well? I mean, he would have chained this to the last one. I mean, he couldn't. There was no monster on the field. So
that's
maybe there is the option that he also has 1 or 2 Bestials in his hand. How many is he running?
He's running triple Magnamut, triple Baldrake, and a Druid Swarm. So he's outnumbering him in terms of Bestials, but so far that didn't lead to an outnumbering in board presence.
I mean, it was good for Christopher to not have that many Bestials in the grave because he milled none. If he had milled a Magnamut, this would have been good for Anthony.
That is indeed true. So we are now going to trigger the Keldor in graveyard. Keldor was used to deny the first fusion effect of Hafnis, but there's still more to go. Wow, and we just discard the Agido for Mudora, and I mean, that gives us 2 level 4 monsters on the field. We are going into Dweller.
Abyss Dweller now. That is a really interesting play. I know it has 2,200 attack points, so you can basically detach Mudora and then attack over Dark, so there is no search. It is not stronger than the Tearlaments Kashtira on the opposing side of the field, and it does not progress your plays. And now we are going to see the Magnamut. Is it Magnamut?
There is a Magnamut being activated on the side of Christopher LeBlanc. Yes, trying to get rid of the Shiren, and Anthony has no response to that. He has to allow it. And as you said, it was crucial for him to deny the Magnamut in the first turn, but now it still hit the field anyways, and we will get the search and end phase now on that follow-up turn. So Dweller resolved, no graveyard effect of Dark, and the Magnamut was big enough to even run over the Tearlaments Kashtira.
And now there is a Dweller on the field that has to be outed first, because otherwise it is going to take another turn away from Anthony. And Magnamut is basically the only Bestial that you want to special summon to apply some pressure onto the field, because it just replaces itself in hand with another Bestial.
Yep, and there is the Baldrake coming as well. And the Baldrake is just such a good addition to the Bestial lineup, because it is not only the usual interruption that you have with Bestials, banishing one light or dark monster from the opponent's graveyard, but also the on-field effect. When your opponent is summoning an extra deck monster, you can also destroy the opponent's cards.
Also having a Magnamut on his field here, and one in his hand.
There is double Magnamut for some reason now. I mean, Magnamut cannot search Magnamut, so what's going on there?
I am a little bit confused here. What could the possible reason be for the other Magnamut being revealed on the field?
That is a very good question.
Maybe he used it in the end phase and now he started his turn and revealed another one?
I mean, the first
he tried to banish the Magnamut from his graveyard with the one that he just revealed.
Okay, and that is now on the field for some reason, but yes. But Magnamut jumping around there on the field is currently in the graveyard and is trying to get banished. Oh no, oh yeah, he wanted to shuffle it back with Mudora. Now I think I've figured it out. LeBlanc wanted to shuffle it back with Mudora. Anthony responded with the Magnamut in his hand, and or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around.
It probably was the other way
was.
around, right? Yeah, we targeted our own Magnamut, then the Mudora was chained to shuffle it back, and therefore the Magnamut stayed in hand for Anthony. I think now we got it.
Anthony now has a convenient way to summon the Magnamut, because I think there is no other response in the graveyard of Christopher, and when he wants to summon it now, he has no monsters on the field, because the Baldrake that Christopher searched earlier cannot be chained to it.
That is absolutely true. So, how do we play around that known Baldrake in hand the best we can here? Because last turn, we had to normal summon Merly. Do we even have another normal summon? Also, when we do have another normal summon, we are again playing into the Baldrake. So it's not really looking too favorable here for Anthony, and he's trying to figure out a way there.
He might have the play to summon 2 Bestials at a time and just chain. Okay, we are having the Mudora as a normal summon. A possible interaction can banish itself from the field as well. And now he's going for the Magnamut, and I'm trying to figure out why, because now it opens up Christopher's own Magnamut.
Necessarily has to mean that he wants to force out the Magnamut there.
He even has another one that he didn't know
yeah.
of. There is still a Baldrake in hand. And triple tactic talents was drawn by Anthony, probably for turn. And now we are going to see if he decides to go into a steal to access a dark. He has dark in his graveyard. I don't think that's
there you have your answer. He absolutely forced out the Bestial from Christopher LeBlanc there, so his triple tactic talents in hand was live then.
Yeah.
So that must have been his top deck for turn, because last turn there were also a lot of monster effects being activated by Christopher, but the talents didn't come down. So that was the pickup he got there, and he's drawing 2.
So 2 cards are drawn. Christopher hasn't activated the Abyss Dweller yet. Maybe he forgot.
I mean, so far it wasn't necessary, to be honest.
That is true.
So far there was no danger of any graveyard effects. And now there's, okay, Baldrake was picked up. All right, so Baldrake can be another body on the field here, of course.
And now we are going to see another Baldrake being chained to this Baldrake. So Havness is going to be targeted, and this is going to be the last interaction that Christopher has on this turn, except for activating the Dweller.
And the Baldrake effect on field, of course. Let's not forget about that. So getting this Baldrake onto the field is also quite nice. But of course that requires the specific situation of an X-Drake monster to be special summoned. Also, we see that Anthony is actually main decking Super Polymerization, which could be very favorable here in the mirror match. Oh wait, no, I'm currently looking through the list of LeBlanc. But no, LeBlanc is not playing with Super Poly, so it's only Anthony being on that card.
Super Poly cannot be activated right now because the Magnamuts on the field have the same name, so they can't go into a Garura with Baldrake on the field. It would have been a different scenario. Anthony is setting a card, and this looks like he was passing. Christopher is picking up his deck, and he's going to resolve the effect that he deactivated earlier from Magnamut, picking up a Druid Swarm. This is not a Tearlament mirror, this is a Bestial mirror.
Yeah, and it's honestly quite unfortunate for Anthony because he's running more Bestials than Christopher is, but Christopher is getting the better of his Bestials here so far. He's resolving Magnamut more often, he's searching all end phases, and he now almost has game on board because that's 7,200, so only 150 missing. And as I thought earlier, there was already a Perler Rhino in the hand, so the next one can come down here.
He also can't just immediately go into the battle phase and attack even if he had game on board, because there are still no cards on Anthony's side. So if Anthony decides to activate his Magnamut again, he cannot chain to it. So he would have a body on board and the battle phase would be wasted.
True, true. So
look at this Dweller still keeping the material.
Yeah, I mean, now you understand why you wouldn't activate it in the opponent's turn when there was no reason to, because now you saved it for your own turn. So even if Anthony somehow gets into resolving Hafnish or something here, look, Christopher's just like, okay, yeah, I'm taking all of those to battle phase, please.
Anthony is there even a dark or light monster, because the only cards in Anthony's graveyard were Tearlaments, Kashtira, and Christopher LeBlanc wins game 1 of the YCS Lyon.
There was no dark or light monster to be targeted anymore by Bestial. The crowd is going wild. We have Christopher LeBlanc being up 1-0 here, and he's one step closer to becoming a 5-times YCS champion. Let that sink in. He's not going to be a 2-times, 3-times, 4-times champion. It could be a 5-times champion, and only very few people on this planet can say that about themselves.
Do we even have any?
I think, or Jesse Cotton might be a 4-time champion, and he also won a UDS, so I think he might even be the first 5-time YCS champion indeed, so that would be quite crazy.
Before he can call himself a 5 times YCS champion,
let's not get too far.
He will have to beat Anthony in Game 2 or Game 3, because Anthony did really not have the best start. His cards in hand actually didn't really get him anywhere. He just had Merle and he had to hit something with it. Unfortunately, it was just a Caldo that also progressed Christopher, who milled Caldo.
And let me tell you something. In the main deck, he was already ahead in Bestials, but he's going to up that number with his side deck now even, because with 7 Bestials in the main deck, there's 4 more coming in from his side deck, making it 11 Bestials, which was not even possible before Photon Hypernova, like at least not Bestial effects that can banish cards from the graveyard. So that's a crazy number. I don't think Christopher LeBlanc is going to resolve that many fusion effects in the graveyard anymore here for the rest of the match, because those Bestials are going to be crucial.
9 Bestials, those are rookie numbers. We are going up to 11. This guy has probably dominated the Tearlament mirror matches that he has played.
Yeah, and on the other hand, Christopher LeBlanc is only siding in 1 more Bestial, being 1 more Druid Swarm, and looking for other options, there is Nibiru the Primal Being. We saw Nibiru being super impactful in his top 4 game, where it was so good versus Kashtira. But is it really that great against the mirror match when your opponent knows what he's doing?
I mean, we have rule colors. Of course, there's the question of, can your opponent even access rule colors? But I mean, they will all the time, and if you Bestial them enough, then you don't need the Nibiru. Because if your opponent doesn't get to rule colors, they won't exceed the 5 summons.
Probably, yeah. Most likely even. So this will be interesting to see whether we even get to resolve Nibiru for a pretty good result, or whether it's not going to be that impactful.
Maybe he's not going in.
Maybe he's not even siding it in. That's also quite possible. But we see that the players are ready. We are in the finals of YCS Lyon. Game 2 shall start now.
Shuffled up, cards in hand are put out to the field. Friendly fist bump, and this game is about to start. I can imagine that Anthony wants to try and start again.
I would think so too, and maybe his opening this time is better than last time. Anthony now entered main phase. I think that was what he was confirming right there. And this time he starts off with Parallel Rhino, so that's already much better than last time. Looking better for Anthony here, so maybe he can start the comeback run here.
Rhino is going to search out for the Rhino Heart. The question is, are we going to see a Chiron as well? Because usually this one... Oh, we are starting with Caldo, discard Mudora, and that is already a better start.
Yeah, that's great news for him, because he now has 1 level 4 monster on the board already, and he searched for Rhino Heart, meaning we are definitely going to have the option to go for Abyss Dweller if we like. And as we saw, Abyss Dweller in this mirror match is such a crucial card.
And if we are going to see a Bestial right here, if it is a Magnamut Anthony, I mean, for every Bestial it counts, but if it is a Magnamut especially, you have the option to shuffle your Havnus back and deny the summon of Magnamut. Druid's Womb is activated now, so let's see if Anthony decides to let it go or chain the Mudora or even the Caldo on the field, even though I wouldn't know why he would do that.
Yeah, I don't think you can get rid of that level 4 body, but we apparently are going to respond with Mudora, or are we not? That's really... This mirror match is so skill intensive. You gotta really think about every single decision. Can you let that Druid's Womb hit the field there? Because it might as well just instantly trade with the Abyss Dweller you're about to summon. Or are you going to deny it by chaining the Mudora here?
You don't want your opponent to get the body on board. You don't want to have it. Don't want your opponent to have the body in hand. You don't want the Bestial effect in the next turn.
Ooh, heads up play now. We're shuffling back Havnus to the deck. That triggers our Pearl Rhino. We are destroying our Rhino Heart, and that is discarding Salik. So we get to search out probably a Tearlaments Chiron here with the effect of Salik.
Very good play. This Pearl Rhino has done its job now for this turn, even though there are no cards on the opponent field. You can also pop your own cards.
Absolutely can. So you cannot send another monster with Rhino Heart now because it already used the effect. But as I said, we're going to search out Chiron, and Chiron is going to give us more chances to mill potential fusion effects here.
Also, are we playing, or is Anthony playing rather, a Time Thief Redoer. Oh, Shiren is hit. He actually hits a name that he has not declared, which was the Havness. Now it is the Shiren, and it is time to see if Christopher LeBlanc has yet another Bestial.
Yeah, so he does not even need the Time Thief Redoer, which he in fact is playing though. So he would have had the option to also go into Redoer afterwards, but hitting the Shiren here is just a lot better, I would say.
That is true. The Redoer doesn't do that much here, and we can now see if the Shiren is going to fusion summon the Kid Kalos.
That would be the desired target for the fusion summon here. We can use the Rhino Heart that is in the graveyard there, and it does not look like LeBlanc has another interruption here.
So I think there is a callback in hand, which could trigger because cards were sent to the graveyard from the deck. We are seeing a card, and it is callback.
Oh, it is callback
Oh,
indeed, trying to go after the Rhino Heart. That is indeed not too bad, because that Rhino Heart is not going to go back to the hand and is rather banished because it summoned itself by its own effect.
And the callback is safe because Pellerino already popped a card here. However, this callback on the field is not the strongest play right now, because Pellerino will also be on the field in the next turn. If his only play through a Dweller is to normal summon another monster and try something there, you can always use Pellerino, because Caldo is in the grave.
That is true indeed. So let's see how far Anthony can get with his turn here still, because there is a potential Dweller with 2 level 4s. We still haven't used the on-field effect of Kid Colors to maybe special summon out something else, so there are definitely still a couple of options left on the table. What rank 4 is it here? It is, of
you
course,
can go for
the
Dweller. And you can activate the effect already to get rid of the Shiren as a material and then summon the Kid Colors, but you don't really need to. You can just use a Dweller now. No impermanence is going to hit the field. We are post-side, so Dark Ruler no more is a thing, and we are just sitting on a Salik Dweller. We have the option to Caldo, Pellerino. Anthony is set up for this opponent's turn.
Yeah, this endboard looks quite minimalistic, but I think it does the trick. It has enough layers interruption. It has the all-around preventing effect of Abyss Dweller to use the graveyard for Christopher LeBlanc. So I do believe this could be a winning setup here for Anthony in game number 2, even though he was again interrupted.
Oh, and we can see that Christopher also has another Bestial. He also has the Ball-Drake in hand. I don't know if he just
I saw that he... No, I saw that he drew it for turn.
Oh, okay.
That was the draw for turn.
Shiren was normal summoned again. This is happening again. How are we normal summoning so many different Shirens?
That is indeed pretty interesting. But this could be a Dweller on our own. So maybe we are just going for a Dweller into Zeus line. The thing is, Dweller couldn't run over anything.
No, that is true. There's no Rhino Heart under it. I also... Okay, of course,
we could go for Baguska though, but like, when we go for Baguska, we are triggering the Salik in the graveyard, we're triggering the Kid Kalos, and also we still have the way to just out the Zeus with our Salik, so there is definitely a couple of ways to get around this.
That is true, so let's see what Christopher decides to do. It looks like he is reaching for his Baguska, so that sounds like either a technique to... Okay, Dweller.
Oh no, we are going for the Dweller, and yeah, that summon was not responded to.
Is he just passing the turn here? This is a possibility.
I mean, then the Salik is just going to be strong.
If he has another Tearlament card that can progress his plays, because he does not have to activate. He can just... Oh, I mean, he can attack with Kid Kalos, right?
Yeah, we can just go...
Yeah, he can easily force it out.
Worst case, we can just go Battle Phase. Also, there is still multiple shufflers in the graveyard, so we can as well pop some cards with the Pearl Rhino. But at the moment, there are no Tearlament monsters in the graveyard just yet. But he can use the Abyss Dweller to get the Shiren to the graveyard. So there are definitely a couple of ways to trigger the Abyss Dweller.
That is true. But if the Abyss Dweller doesn't get run over, then I don't see why you would detach if you can keep it for the opponent's turn.
All right. So for the moment, there's just a little bit of a judge situation. But I think we're going to resolve that very quickly. And then we can move on with our game. And this is really peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, let's be honest, this deck has been dominating the format for quite a few days now, or for quite a few weeks even, and both of us love to play it, because this mirror match is just peak Yu-Gi-Oh! You're really getting into so many different layers, you have to think about so many things at the same time, and it really becomes like a strategy game on the highest level. It's really so crazy.
It has even gotten more skillful with the addition of Bestials, because you have to keep in mind this decision. Do I want him to resolve the Bestial and have it on board? For Magnamut, it's easy decision, because you never want your opponent to summon this unless you have triple tactic talents, because then you can take it away and then go into a dark, summon it, and get a bestial yourself. So you as a player, yourself with the Magnamut in hand, have to contemplate, do I want to activate my Magnamut first, or do I want to use Saronir or Druid's Womb first? It's always a tough decision, because if you use your Saronir first to play around triple tactic talents in this scenario, if your opponent doesn't have it and doesn't try to resolve anything else, you keep the Magnamut. You have one less body.
So honestly, there's already so much happening on the field and in the graveyard, but there's still even more stuff to think about that you have to be afraid of, that you have to play around of in this specific mirror match and in this specific meta game. So I'm really happy that we're having another event in this format. And I think we resolved the situation, so we are still there with Christopher LeBlanc summoning the Abyss Dweller and now trying to use it apparently. Yeah, we are using the Abyss Dweller as well.
Dweller is attacking, and now we are activating Salik onto the Dweller. Kid Kalos is going to be sent to the graveyard in result to that, so the effect is negated, and Kid Kalos is going to try and activate.
That is not a hit. That is Shuffler, okay.
Wow, he hit the Tearlaments Kashtira, so this is 2 more mills, 2 more chances.
Let's try, let's try. Wow, not a single Tearlaments name. Not a single way to fusion summon, and now the Salik on the field doesn't look that great anymore because there is no Tearlaments monster on the board. So for the next turn you could not just immediately go after the Dweller. So if the Dweller sticks to the board here, we might be in a problematic situation, but also let's not forget that there are still Shufflers and now also Tearlament monsters in the graveyard. So worst case scenario for the Rhino in end phase could prevent Abyss Dweller hitting our turn.
However, there are 2 Bestials in Christopher's hand.
That's true.
And he's just trying to force out something. He activates the Baldrake immediately and targets the Kid Kalos. So I think that Anthony really wants to use Kaldo or Mudora here.
Yeah, the good thing, like, even though he did not hit any Tearlament fusion names, he did hit a Mudora. So now he has both Shufflers available to himself. So it makes it easier for him to immediately activate and respond here with the first one. If it would only be the Kaldo in graveyard, he would have to think about this one way harder because it would only be the one shuffle back effect he has.
Oh, see, and Druid's Womb is activated as well. We are chaining Kaldo as well. And now we are going to see everything resolve. And with everything resolve, I mean Christopher is not going to summon out his Bestials and Anthony is going to get a pop. And keep in mind, this is Christopher's turn, so Anthony is going to have a draw phase.
Yeah. But again, like, of course, it's great to deny those Bestials hitting the field, but as we talked about it in Game 1, those are still going to be a thing in the upcoming turn, and Christopher LeBlanc will just have another chance to summon Bestials in Anthony's turn then.
Yeah, that's true. So let's see if Anthony forgets to use the Pearl effect because there are cards being shuffled back. So what are we seeing?
Ooh, we are actually popping our own Salik, progressing our own engine. Anthony really is a master of his deck because he did not only pop his own Rhino Heart early on, but now also his Salik. So that Pearl Rhino is not that much of an interruption to pop opponent's cards, and he rather uses it as a starter for his own engine.
What I find really interesting is that this Dweller is going to stick to the board. So if you want to progress your plays, you are going to have to find a way to get rid of this Dweller first.
That is true indeed. And I mean, you could search for Tearlaments Kashtira potentially to maybe do stuff in the end phase as well.
No, he already used one. Oh no, he only used the mill effect of it.
That's true, so you can still special summon it out. So that could be the way to go.
That is really good because Christopher has used his Bestials already. There is nothing stopping Anthony from milling 3 cards, and there were so many cards milled that are not Tearlament names.
Wow, but Christopher still has a Chiron he can use. So he's not done with his turn yet, discarding one of the Bestials that were denied by Anthony. And now, oh wow, we hit one of the Shufflers, which could be very good in the grind game situation.
Dweller is active though. So that is really good for Anthony. Of course, Christopher really just tried in this scenario to hit Kaldo or Mudora, which he was successful with. So let's see, is the Tearlament Kashtira going to come down in the end phase, banish the Salik or the other Tearlaments Kashtira in the graveyard, mill 3, and what is going to happen after that?
First of all, we're getting rid of that Abyss Dweller though, and I mean, that is quite a big of a problem. I mean, honestly, he wanted to protect that at all costs. He wasn't successful in doing that, and now there is an Abyss Dweller on the opponent's side of the field.
One card said it is going to come down to this
Oh,
mill
wow.
of Tearlaments
Oh,
Kashtira.
wow.
We are going to see 3 cards milled that can possibly decide the game. What is going to happen next? 1 card, Talents.
Wow.
Halfness
There
is
is
hit.
a Halfness
Druid's
being
Mom is
hit.
hit. Halfness is going to activate. And this is going to be the first one that resolves for Anthony.
Finally, we're going to get a fusion summon going. There is the Kid Colors he was working for so hard, and now he can even go for another fusion name that he can send to the graveyard with Kid Colors. Do we just go for Rule Colors here, maybe? That could be a good thing. Also, just adding another starter like Rhinoheart or Merly.
Also, if you have good cards in your hand, go for Dragostapelia to negate the Dweller on the next turn. But I think
that's
there
true.
is another trap card. This could very well be a Salik, which is why the Shiren on the field could be so good. So we are sending the Shiren.
Yep.
We are going for another fusion. And we are
Oh.
We are actually
Honestly,
going for a Muddragon.
we are anticipating it to be Salik, and we can play around Salik by just summoning out Muddragon here. That is really strong by Anthony. And
We
anything
are
else in
waiting.
end phase?
Okay, end phase is still happening. We are not drawing yet. Everyone is figuring out are the cards in the correct order. They are. Anthony draws for turn. This game does not disappoint as a final.
Absolutely not. Very high-class action here by both players. Even though Anthony is playing his first YCS final, he absolutely shows us what he is capable with this deck, and he is not really to be seen as an underdog here, as he's performing like an all-star.
That is true. So Kaldo is used to target Kaldo and Modora on Anthony's side. And a Magnemute as well. You always want to get rid of your Magnemutes in your graveyard.
For
You want
sure.
to draw them, and you don't want your opponent to access them with Dark.
Yeah, and
It just resolves.
in that game state that we're in, I think it's going to be super crucial for Anthony that he still has the Perla Rhino on field, because this mirror match is very often being influenced by the person that has Perla Rhino access more.
Well, Rhino is such a fantastic card. Not only the attack with Salik is
Ooh,
activated.
But there is the Salik.
And Kid Colors can be targeted. Muddragon cannot activate the effect in response because the targeting has already happened. And Shiren is going to be sent to the graveyard.
Ooh, but there's also Baldrake being activated by Anthony immediately. So we want to get rid of that Shiren that just would activate there. And that leads Christopher to pick up his cards.
Anthony Lopez ties it up 1-1.
What a crazy game. Once again, it looked like Anthony was not really getting off, but that Dweller was enough to prevent everything. He was popping his own cards with Perla Rhino non-stop, popping our own Rhinoheart, popping our own Salik, getting our engine going, keeping it rolling, and that was successful. He actually defeated him in game number 2. So Christopher LeBlanc now not feeling that safe anymore. Maybe not a 5-time champion. Maybe we're going to crown a new YCS champion here in Lyon.
Christopher did a really good job of playing against the disadvantage of going second. He had Bestials, he used them well, but Anthony was able to overcome every little rock that he put in his way.
Wow, what a game, really. Like, you could tell that we are very hyped about it. I hope you guys at home are also enjoying the show, because those guys are really putting up a show, that's for sure.
Yes, the first Tearlament mirror match that we are seeing in this tournament is a great one already.
Absolutely.
Two very accomplished players, two high-level players are putting on a show. And now we are going to side for the last game of YCS Lyon.
We are looking into the side decks once again. Going first, I don't think Christopher LeBlanc is having that many options. One would be Tearlaments Crime, which is not just an option, but rather an obvious choice to bring in. He's definitely going to go with that. And then there's Triple Tactics Thrust. Do you think that is coming in as well?
If you're siding Crime and you're playing Salik, then the card definitely has applications going first.
Yeah.
However, it is not as good as hard drawing those cards. I don't know if it is worth it. It is crazy in the grind game, though.
I mean, I think I really like it because we saw that Anthony plays so many Bestials, so him having a monster on the board is quite easy. And then just getting instant fusion straight out from your deck seems insane to me. Let's see whether that is going to happen. Christopher LeBlanc is going to start here in game number 3. So let's get this last game of YCS Lyon 2023 going here. Let the final game begin.
Christopher LeBlanc versus Anthony Lopez. The last fist bump to start a game off in France in February of 2022.
Yeah, I'm almost sad that this is going to be our last game, but I'm pretty sure those two guys have another pretty big game coming for us.
Perla Rhino is opened immediately. I think it's the first time that we have seen... Oh no. he had plenty of them in game 1.
That's true, but it is pretty important for him to also have it here in game number 3.
So Shyren is activated. I have seen that he has Caldo in hand, so that is always a really good discard for Shyren.
That is indeed true. Already having access to one of your shufflers early on is definitely something you want. Ooh, that is
Normal summon.
normal summon of Keldo there, and we are rather discarding the Tearlaments Kashtira, and we're also going to hit Tearlaments Shyren as one of the 3 cards we milled with the Shyren effect in hand.
Shyren activating in Chainlink 1, Tearlaments Kashtira activating Chainlink 2, played around Bell perfectly.
Yep, I don't think there's a bell in the list of
I don't
Anthony,
think so
but
either.
you might as well play around it. Why
Wow!
Whoa.
There is another 2 mills from Tearlaments Kashtira, and it is Rhino Heart and Hafnis. This is all that Christopher could ever wish for.
That is definitely strong stuff. And Anthony, honestly, if he would have a Bestial here, I do believe he would have just started off with it right there. And that makes me believe that Anthony may not have a Bestial there.
He's playing 11. He should have one, statistically speaking. However, if we are seeing... Oh, we are seeing a Hafnis
there's
on
Hafnis,
Anthony's
though.
side, and this can change the entire game up.
Oh,
Kelbeck is hit, and this is
wow.
perfect. Kelbeck and Salik. This is the answer that Anthony needs, because with just one name, there are shufflers on the field and in the graveyard of LeBlanc. You just really need to hit the Kelbeck. You need to mill 5.
You gotta get more cards to the graveyard. You gotta try to activate more names. The thing is, there is one Kelbeck already available. So all the cards you're going to mill here in one run are not really going to be the thing. Like, you gotta hit a name and then also hit Tearlaments Kashtira so you can advance your milling even further, or maybe an Agido. I think that's the only way he really is going to get the action going here in terms of fusion summoning on his opponent's turn.
And Salik always searches out Tearlaments Kashtira. Now, what a great addition to the deck.
Oh yeah.
Shyren is hit and Mudora is hit. This
That's
is really
strong.
good. You can activate a name, force out a shuffler, and you can take away plenty of resources with your Mudora.
That is definitely good. And we see that Christopher absolutely brought in the Triple Tactics Thrust, the crazily good card, brand new from Photon Hypernova, and one of them has just been milled. So now a new form, a new chain will have to form.
And we are going to discuss in which order, because this is not always the easiest to keep track of.
That is true. We're trying to keep up for you guys at home so you guys can follow what is going on there. And I mean, there are multiple trigger effects, but there's also an optional quick effect being activated by Christopher LeBlanc, and it is Bestial Magnamut being targeting the Shyren.
The best Bestial to have, and in this situation you are basically forced to activate your Mudora here.
I do believe so as well. That is not what you like to see. Christopher really drawing those Magnamuts, right? He had them in game 1. He now has another one in game 3. This could be crucial for him. And also, again, we talked about it on Anthony's side. It's super good to already have 2 level 4 monsters on the board, because that means Dweller is definitely a thing, definitely a possibility here in this match.
That is true. Going for Dweller in this matchup is so important. Anthony is using the Mudora to target his own Shyren that was targeted by the Magnamut, and he's going to get rid of 2 Tearlaments Reinhardt because he really does not want to see a Kaleido Heart hit the board.
Yep, no Kaleido Heart for you. So we are now resolving. And I mean, we even have Tearlaments Kashtira still in the graveyard, so we might as well special summon that out with our Kid Kalos, to be honest.
That's true.
So
It's a really good kid.
oh,
target.
and I think there is the other Triple Tactics Thrust that he brought into his main deck. He side decks 2, and one of them has found its way into the opening hand, and he can now fetch out any spell card that he likes, and he likes the other tactic cards, so we go into Triple Tactics Talent right away.
He has a really good hand already. He has set up a lot, so he can just grab the Triple Tactic Talents and actually request to see Anthony's hand and then pick out one card that he just does not like in Anthony's hand and shuffle it back into the deck. He can also just draw 2 cards, and he can take the Hafnis. All of the 3 talents are available for him at this point in time.
They are, but I would believe that looking at the opponent's hand here is going to give you the highest strategical advantage in that scenario. And I think Anthony is just thinking about maybe chaining a card from his hand, but he decides against it. So all of us can have a look at the starting hand of Anthony Lopez. We saw that he added the Tearlaments Kashtira, but now we also know of the other cards. And yeah, Anthony thought about it really long. He thought about responding with the Baldrake, but he decided against it. And now that Baldrake is going to be shuffled back into the main deck.
Anthony had the Bestial. In fact, he was waiting for the last name to activate to stop a Rule Colossus from hitting the field. But this did not work out because triple tactics are really strong.
Yep, Thrust, just such a super powerful card. We are activating Tearlaments Scream, summoning the Abyss Dweller. There's still a Tearlament monster on the field, and therefore we can mill 3 cards with the effect of Scream.
And we were looking at the hand of Anthony as well. Double Caldo, which is really fine to play through a board with many shufflers in the graveyard. But there was not that much to progress his field. There was just a Baldrake. This Baldrake is gone now. He has Tearlaments Kashtira, but it's going to be such a hard time for him to find a way into this game, especially if Tearlaments Scream is on the field as well now.
Yeah. Tearlaments Scream is just also such a powerful card. You wouldn't recognize because it's just a common, but this card really sticking to the field is just going to give the opportunity to mill on your own turn, mill on your opponent's turn. It's just going to stick as a continuous spell card, and therefore it's just going to give you so many mills over the course of the duel.
Also, it has a really powerful grave effect. When it's sent there by card effect, you can just add a Tearlament Trap card, and of course this happens all of the time when you are milling cards from the top of your deck.
For sure. For me personally, Tearlaments Scream might even be one of the most powerful Tearlament cards there is, because it really gives you so much. Oh, now we also milled a Salik, I think. That trap card looked like a Salik.
Always good. It's nice to have additional Tearlaments Kashtira or Havnis in the hand. So Christopher LeBlanc is looking really strong right here, and Anthony has to get really creative to out this board.
Yep, and I mean, even better for Christopher is that he knows what he's up against. He had the opportunity to look at the opponent's hand with Triple Tactics Talents, so he exactly knows what to prepare for. So everything is on the table for him, and he can just think out a plan, make up a plan, and that is what he's doing right now.
That is the Havnis. If he also has a, okay, we are going into a Link 2, which could very well be a Dark.
Yep.
And is there a Magnamut in the graveyard of Anthony?
I'm not sure. There were so many cards milled, so we would have to look. We're probably not going to reborn the Bestial Druid's Womb. I mean, we might as well, because there's Dweller being activated, so Druid's Womb is not going to trigger in the graveyard. We can also just take that, and that's probably going to result in a Sprite Sprint. Just double-checking that we did not use the effect of Merle yet, but I don't believe we did so, and therefore
Toughness.
We can go for Sprite Sprint here. It's usually the case of a Tearlaments player just going for Merle last, because you always want to have that last opportunity to activate the effect of Sprint to send Merle. And I believe we are, even though we shuffled back 2 Rhinoids earlier, still getting access to Kaleido Heart here in Game 3.
Kaleido Heart is going to get rid of the Tearlament Havnis on Anthony's side. The last monster, the last resort that Anthony has this monster on board.
And now we even use Pearl Rhino on our own Scream, so we can search out Tearlament's Crime. Anthony did it earlier on. He was popping his own cards non-stop with Pearl Rhino, and Christopher LeBlanc is like, hey, I can do that as well, and therefore gets himself the also powerful counter-trap card Tearlament's Crime.
And an immediate Dweller right here, even though it is protected by Tearlament's Crime. We don't want to play into Triple Tactic Talents. Anthony has one draw that has to break this board, has to get him back into the game against an Abyss Dweller, against the Kaleido, against Crime, and against Pearl Rhino, Caldo, Mudora. Christopher LeBlanc has put all that he has to the table, and he even has Magnamut in hand.
Yep, there is a lot to overcome for Anthony, so it's understandable that he takes a moment to just think that through, and he starts it off with the effect of Caldo, discarding another Caldo, and those 2 cards were known, so they are no surprise to Christopher here.
Caldo discard Caldo is one of the most powerful ways to play through a Tearlament board, because you can immediately get it into the graveyard, and even in response to the effect of Caldo on resolve, chain it to get rid of the opponent's shufflers, to target all of them, and then he will have to respond. However, Abyss Dweller is already activated. Christopher LeBlanc knew about that, and he immediately shotgunned the Dweller to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely well played by Christopher. But one thing really important here is that Caldo on the field is still going to be able to use its effect. So Abyss Dweller only affecting the Caldo in grave, but we might as well still get all the shufflers out from our opponent's graveyard with the Caldo on board.
So we could go into a rank 4. The only thing that is stopping Anthony from going into a really nice Zeus play is the Crime. And I said the only thing, but Crime is really powerful.
It is indeed. And Christopher still has cards in hand, so he definitely still is able to resolve the Crime that is set. And now we are going after a couple of cards in the graveyard of Anthony with the effect of Keldo. Trying to shuffle back both Keldo and Salik from his graveyard, and also our own Tearlaments Kashtira.
So Salik, and we will have to use the Rhino Heart from hand now, getting rid of another card that Anthony has. The Rhino Heart also was known, so I think we still don't know what the last card was that Anthony drew. So maybe this can change the game. This could change the outcome of this entire thing. But
so we are using Tearlaments Kashtira on summon to mill more cards, and Christopher LeBlanc uses his opportunity to use the trigger effect of Pearl the Rhino 2 to just immediately destroy the summoned Kashtira Tearlaments.
And it can't even mill 2 more cards.
Yeah, true. The graveyard effect is being denied by the existence of Abyss Dweller.
Triple Tactic Talents is so incredibly powerful. Not even just taking away one card of your opponent, knowing what he is able to do, knowing that there is maybe not that much that threatens you, being able to just let your opponent play for a bit and then use your disruptions, not having to activate the crime early on.
Yeah.
He knows, if there is something that comes up, I can negate it.
Yeah, I love the how Christopher is acting right now. He realizes he's getting closer and closer to title number 5. He sees it. He knows he's ahead here. His opponent is only able to set one more card to the back row, and therefore it's going to go over to Christopher again here.
One card set Keldo on the field. None of the Tearlament cards can trigger now. And Magnemut is special summoned by banishing another Magnemut. It will also resolve, and it will search for another Bestial. This is already so much damage. It's getting the Bestial Baldrake from the graveyard. Now, Baldrake is going to be activated.
Just going to go with Baldrake effect, banishing the Druids. So we have a bunch of Bestials on board, and we are normal summoning Rhino Heart on top of that. Is there any way Anthony can stop this final push by Christopher?
Battle phase, one last card.
One last card.
Super Polymerization! He discards the Agido! There is place for Anthony Lopez!
That Super Polymerization and the discard of Agido might be able to turn this around, because Abyss Dweller is not able to use its effect anymore. We can mill 5 here with Agido in that case.
This is a miracle. What single card can turn this game around? Of course, it is one of the most powerful.
But we can use Tearlaments Crime on the graveyard effect of Agido, of course, anyways. So that Garuravo will be able to draw him another card.
Garura, as far as I know, 2,400 defense points can just be run over by Kaleido Heart. No Dweller next turn. So
yeah, if Anthony draws a good card here off of that Garura, and then also a good card for turn, there is a chance for him to actually get back into this final.
So Christopher has to find a way to get this Abyss Dweller back into his graveyard, to be honest. He has to get rid of it. I think he can link summon with Sprite Sprint now. It can only not link summon on the turn it was summoned, if I am not mistaken. He can get the Abyss Dweller back into the graveyard, then activate Mudora or Keldo, shuffle it back, and then use the Rhino Heart plus another level 4 monster to summon Dweller yet again. And now we are discussing about which card was resolved when.
I think the Agido is not going to be shuffled back into the deck, right? Because the Tearlaments Crime would have to destroy the card, and that is not the case here in that scenario, because the card was already in the graveyard.
It doesn't destroy. It just said negate the activation and shuffle that card into the deck.
Okay, but I still don't know whether you can shuffle back cards from the graveyard. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that is being discussed right now.
Have you read Mudora or Keldo?
I have, once or twice.
Because they do that quite a lot. So now, Havness has been sent to the graveyard for the effect of Crime, is going to be able to trigger, and Kaleido Heart is also going to be able to use its effect and get rid of the Garuru. We are still in the battle phase.
True, so we can just shuffle away the Garura. It will not even be able to get us an additional draw.
And now the Keldo from the field has to be used to shuffle back this Havness. Havness is going to be really important. It cannot resolve, or else Anthony will face too much damage here. So Garura on the field is going to be shuffled back, but this is not enough damage, right? 2,000, 1,400, 3,400? This looks like it's 8,100 damage.
Yeah, I think we might still have enough damage, because we're shuffling back the Garura, and then we still have the Kaleido Heart and Rhino Heart being pushed by Pearl the Rhino. I do believe this is still enough to go for game, and I think this is what they are calculating right there.
2,000, 5,500. This is more than 3,000. This should be game. This looks like it is 8,900. Christopher LeBlanc is the 5th YCS champion. He is the YCS champion for the 5th time.
What an absolute madman, taking the title for the 5th time. It's crazy how much of a conversion rate this guy has as well. He almost wins every single YCS final that he's entering, and he is now celebrating with his friends, which are rushing to the table. Very understandably so. He traveled all the way from America to participate in this European YCS here in beautiful France, in Lyon, and he actually managed to take it down for the USA.
Congratulations to Anthony Lopez as well, his first YCS finals. What a gigantic accomplishment. He's one of the nicest guys I know. This guy really deserved to get this far in the tournament. What a fantastic player. Christopher LeBlanc, absolutely crazy. How can you win 5 YCS? This guy just enters tournaments to win. He does not want to top. He always wants to win, and he does.
It is crazy to me. And also one more thing I want to say to Anthony. I'm very confident that this was not the last YCS final that he played. He has been performing like crazy. I do believe he's on a very good direction to be one of the best players in Europe, if he's not already one of them. That first YCS final that he just got there definitely makes him another favorite for more YCS titles to come, for more YCS finals to come. And therefore, I do believe he's on a good way to be one of the best players.
Absolutely. I, by the way, met him in Zodiac format. I played Zodiac, and he played Chainburn. And he destroyed me.
Honestly, that is a deck that I also played back in the day. you would know, right? That's a deck that fits me, for sure.
Of course. In 2017?
Yeah, I even did that back then.
Yeah, it was really good, because Zodiac was not able to deal a lot of damage. So Anthony Lopez, a really creative player who wants to...
Yeah, but let's break this down one more time. We've had over 2,000 players entering this tournament here in Lyon, our first European Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship of 2023. We had a lot of them on Tearlaments, and we had most of the players in Top Cut being on the same deck as well. And in the end, it was 3 out of 4 players in Top 4 also being on that deck, and therefore it was also a mirror match in the final. So that deck deservedly takes the title here for YCS Lyon, and this is definitely a well-deserved success. Sorry. A very, very, very well-deserved success. And I've heard that our champion and our host are ready. So let's give this man his 5th YCS trophy. Let's get it over to Ed and our champion here.
Attention, duelists. I give you the winner of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series from Lyon in 2023. It's Chris LeBlanc! Chris, this is your 5th time as a YCS champion, your first champion in Europe. How do you feel in this moment right now?
Obviously insane. Very overwhelmed because I definitely did not test as much as I should have for this event. But, you know, you get there.
That's a humble thing to say, considering you're standing here as the champion of YCS Lyon. You could see it in your face out the whole thing. Heads were in hands. You were clearly, visibly excited. And here you are, the champion. We're going to have Paolo come on stage to present you with a unique version of Another Verse Dragon, your prize card. So that is your champion of YCS Lyon. It's Chris LeBlanc, everyone! So that is going to be it from us here at YCS Lyon. Thank you so much to everyone who has taken part in this. Thank you very much to our amazing judge team, to our coverage team, to KONAMI Digital Entertainment in Europe, and obviously to all of you guys watching at home. We are going to be back on the 1st of April for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series in London at 11 AM CET, 10 AM GMT, local London time. So one more time, give it up for your champion. It's Chris LeBlanc! That is going to be it from us, everyone. I've been your host, Ed Templar. Thank you very much again to all my wonderful coverage team. That's it from us. Have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are. Take care. One more time, everyone, for Chris LeBlanc!